Great. We are live. We are live now. So here we are live today. Guns and Granny is live today with our guest, Zeke Mathena, who is the founder of Tactical Defense Training Center here in Florida. So Zeke, thanks so much for joining us today. There's my phone letting me know that we're live now. I'm excited about your upcoming class that's on January the 29th, your women's class.
Right.
That ought to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. But before we get into that, can you just for our viewers just give us a real brief profile of your history and your training and all that?
Okay. I'm retired from 33 years of law enforcement. I've been a law enforcement firearms instructor since '84. I have a host of certifications in a lot of different firearms disciplines. Have instructor certifications in a bunch of different different disciplines and methods and so forth. I'm a NRA instructor in rifle, pistol, and I'm an NRA training instructor, a training counselor. And training counselors are the level that they're the only ones who can certify instructors, run instructor certification courses and stuff. So I do that as well.
Okay, great. Well, let's just jump right into it. And if you would, can you break down for us what's involved in your women's class on the 29th, where it's located, and sort of walk us through this class and what the fees are at the end, and also how people can register. So we'll start with what's the class about? Let's begin with that.
All right. Well, this is typically our first offering. It's the Florida CWL, which is the Concealed Weapons License in Florida. It's the one that people take for that class, and it covers a multitude of subjects related to handgun. So it's about 4.5 hours of classroom instruction at our facility in Citrus Springs. I bring about 15 different handguns so people understand the difference between single and double action revolvers and single and double action semi-autos and striker fired guns. I go over obviously a lot of safety issues, safe gun handling, get into some Florida gun law, shooting fundamentals, grip stance, sight alignment, trigger control, those type of things. And we've recently added a section of, again, covering some Florida law, but as it pertains to what's happening around us with, protesters and that sort of thing. I would say that the demand for the classes has really grown since probably March, since a lot of this stuff started. First, there was concern about, well, we can't get toilet paper and cleaning supplies, and what if it turns into we can't get food?
Yeah.
People were extremely worried. And then from that, when Antifa and BLM and the looting and rioting and stuff started, it's very concerning to people. And I initially shut down the classes really because of the COVID concerns. And then the demand was just increasing, that I keep the numbers down now, about half of what the classroom could easily handle. But people, again, I get a lot of people that say, we've never had a gun, we've never considered even owning a gun, but we just went out and bought a gun, and we need to know how to operate it, how to be safe, and what we can do with it. And that, as you know, because you being a shooter yourself, I mean, you're hard pressed to find available guns and ammunition, and when you do, it's really expensive because it's it's very similar to the concerns with COVID. I mean, everybody's just gathering up anything they can find. Yeah. I'm very, very grateful that some people recognize that just buying a gun and stick it in their pocket or throwing it in their car is not the answer to what's happening.
Exactly.
Because you really, really need to get some training.
Yeah. Can I ask you a small favor before you go on? Can you turn your phone horizontal? Because then we'll both be the same direction. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that's good. That just works better for the camera. Okay, and the one thing about what is it? There's several people in this area that teach this class, but your class is different. And can you explain how your class is different from perhaps other ways it's being done?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's seeing other people jump in there, offering courses, and all along since I've moved to Florida, you notice that there's course offerings for you to get your permit. Some of them, it may be a vendor at a gun show, and you'll see the vendor has some table and chairs there, and you pay them $70 or whatever, and they go over some Florida law and stuff and things about the guns. You may not even touch a gun. Then there's some instructors and courses that they'll have everybody shoot a 22 into a sand bucket. I mean, it's really sad because people jump on it, they go, oh, this is not that expensive, and I'll always say you get what you pay for. You mean to tell me you're going to go out, take a course, and fire a 22 into a sand bucket? Some people are having them shoot like airsoft guns, not even real firearms.
Oh.
Then now you're going to get your permit and you're going to carry this gun around to protect you and your loved ones. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So we do a very, very comprehensive course. As I said, there's 4.5 hours of classroom instruction. And then we step out in the range and everybody shoots a 22 revolver, a couple 22 semi-autos, a couple 380s, a couple 9mm, a couple 38s, and a 45. And we just want to give you an idea of what's available and also try to find a good fit for you. I routinely get people that say, oh, we've heard so much about your courses and your class. We're so excited. We're going to sign up. We just didn't get my wife's gun yet. And I'll say, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything. And you've seen, because you've attended a couple of classes, we really work with people. We want them to feel comfortable and be very, very safe, because we're talking about firearms. So as I tell them in the classes, if I talk about a basic principle or a safety rule and you don't understand it, tell us. Just say, hey, could you explain this to me? And if I explain it to you and you don't understand it, ask me to explain it again. I don't care how many times I have to do with it. This is really important. We're talking about firearms. This is not a rule for, playing basketball in the driveway or something. We're talking typically an accident with a firearms results in somebody seriously injured or killed.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want you just to be able to recite the principle or rule number 3 is this. I'd like you to understand how we got there. Why is it set up like this? And we go through that very well. And the same thing with the guns. Now, people may say, you know what, I don't want to shoot the 38, and we don't push them to do so. I don't want to shoot the 45. We have a lot of older people that have hand and wrist problems.
Yeah.
The thing I would ask them to is, if you can, and if it's not going to cause you any injury or disconcern, how about just firing a shot or two? Because what if you gained control of a gun in a situation and you possibly had to use it.
Ah,
And I mean, at the very least, you want to know how to make it safe. What if you come across a gun, or in a situation you gain control of it? I mean, it's probably pretty important that you know how to
yeah,
use it.
exactly.
If God forbid it
Yeah.
gets
Well, one of the first things when I tell people, I was telling my sister about how I was going to get a new gun, and she lives in a place that she should have a gun. And she says, "Well, do you think you could actually shoot somebody?" I said, "Absolutely. They're coming after me. I'm going to shoot them.
well, and it's
Absolutely. I'm not going to just be a victim." That's the whole thing, you see. This is what really got me going, is because I said, because I'm an older woman, I'm a target. People think I'm easy to take down, and I didn't want to be easy to take down. I wanted to be able to go down with a fight and to be prepared and to be trained. And your class really is the beginning for people like me. But I think that, and I want to get onto that in a little bit later, whereas we go on, down the road. But
well, what you just said, that comes up. I'll get, there's two things I cover in the class I get a lot of questions on, or a lot of statements from people. And it's, the first one is usually, well, I'm finally going to do this. My husband's didn't want me to get the permit, but I didn't know if I want to get a permit because I don't know if I want to carry. And I say it's two different things. Just because you have a permit doesn't mean you have to. It means you can legally do it. It's not going to get easier to get, and it's not going to get cheaper. So how about let's get it while we can and get some good training. And then the second issue is, I don't know if I want to carry, I don't know if I could shoot someone. And not everybody has the positive attitude that you do about it. That's a monumental decision. But as I tell them in class, if you think that you're going to be able to sit back and say, well, I don't know, should I shoot this person? Or I mean, you're delusional,
yeah,
because 99% of the time, the decision has already been made, and it's not by you. It's by the perpetrator or perpetrators. And it's just a question of, are you going to be able to stop this from happening? Are you going to be able to protect yourself and defend yourself or somebody around you?
that's good. That's true, though. So tell me a little bit about your range that you built, and that where you teach your classes, and what all the facilities are that you have at that range.
Well, we have four different ranges, but we work primarily off the main pistol range, and then there's another range that will be posted with situational targets where you have to move through. It's for more advanced classes. We teach you how to clear areas, clear rooms, use angles to your benefit. So the main range that we would shoot off of for the beginning class that I told you about, we also use that for advanced courses. With the next course offering up from this first Florida CWL class is what we call close combat, the defensive handgun.
Could older people take that class, or is that just for younger people?
No, I mean, everybody takes the class.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So close combat is for older people like me.
No, close combat is for anybody.
Well, I mean, it can include me. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, and how that starts is you start like arm's length away from a target. Now, and this can be in any number of situations. It could be you hear something go bump in the night in your house, and you walk and you're kind of checking around, what was that? And all of a sudden, boom, somebody's right in front of you. What are you going to do? What if they're all of a sudden rush you for your gun, or maybe they have a gun or a knife in their hand, and it's literally you're pushing off the person, stepping back and shooting them.
Sorry,
So so that's how that class starts. And it then moves towards the end. Come on, Ruger. One of the dogs. Then you move on to we do shooting while moving. So you start back against, the pistol range building there, and that's 25 yards away. And you just start walking, and all of a sudden, bang, 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 you've been taken under fire. And there's available cover to you. We teach you proper use of cover. And what you're going to be doing is you're caught out in the open. So you move towards cover, firing at the adversary. And then when you get to cover, you could provide more accurate cover more accurate fire from behind the safety of some cover, and still address the target. That when you're doing that, there's also innocent people posted around the adversary. So we really teach a lot of how it's probably going to happen. This is not a clean, sanitary, static environment. There's things thrown in the mix like that, innocent people. If you don't return fire accurately, you can hit somebody else. And that's real life, because that can happen. And so that class starts off with a lot of defensive things. There's a lot to it. I routinely get accused of, just when I think I got it, you throw another wrench in the works. And I say, I'm sorry, but this is real life. This is things that happen. We don't go try to do something really far-fetched just to try to hang you up.
Yeah.
We try to keep it at what probably is going to happen and things that can go wrong to prepare you for that and how you would address them.
Okay, so that's the defensive one. And
that's called close combat defensive handgun.
What's the next class that you teach?
The next class is a more advanced tactical defensive handgun. We have that one range, the walk in the park. It's nicknamed, there's a sign up there that says, "Welcome to a short walk in the park," which is anything but. And that's when we're teaching you how to enter a room or a building, how to clear, how to move down hallways, how to address threats that are coming up on you, threat areas, how to break things down to primary and secondary threats and how to address them. And then with the targets themselves, there's some targets posted that are shoot, don't shoot situations, might be a hostage situation. So again, if you're going to be involved in this, and
so who would be a candidate for that class? What sort of person would be interested in taking that particular class?
Well, we worked our way up. So they start with the first class that I told you about,
Yeah.
CWL class, and then there's a lot of things, and you get a lot of questions too, as you've seen. People ask, "Hey, what can I do if this happens? What should I do?" Well, okay, you're setting yourself up for the next class, which is that close combat defensive handgun. And then once you've had that class, we go to the next step. So we try to take it a step at a time and give you a bunch of skills, tools for your toolbox.
Now, do they need to bring their own guns, or do you provide the guns and ammo?
So at the first class, the Florida CWL class, the handgun safety course, I bring all those guns and supply the ammo.
Okay.
Now, people, one of the last times you came, you brought your gun. So if people have something, we say, yeah, we'll go ahead and bring it, and we'll go over it with you, because there's a lot of people that have handguns and they say, yeah, I bought this thing and I think I fired it once when I first got it, and really I don't know anything about it, so I've been kind of leery of touching it. So, and people that have guns that they go, I've had this and I've never shot it. Well, okay, let's get you up to speed on it. We'll go over the gun with you and help you out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in that first class. All the other classes, you bring your own gun. So that close combat defensive handgun, you bring your own gun, your own ammunition, your own holster.
How much ammo? How much ammo would a person need to bring for a typical class?
Well, on the website, I think for those courses, it says 200 rounds or
Really?
something. I forget. But so back in the day, all the posts on the website, when I put that up, it was more, give you an idea what to bring. Now, if you
Mhm.
came and you only shot 150 rounds, who's going to complain about having 100 extra rounds at their disposal? But in the current situation we're in, I've had people call and say, I can't get 200 rounds. I have 150. So I would tend to say that it's going to be more around 150 rounds, maybe a little over, but it's all dependent on how everybody's doing. Because if people aren't, we break it down into different skills and adding on to those skills as we go, even within the class itself. So if you're doing that first stage where somebody's right at you and you're stepping back and pushing them away from you and shooting them, if you're not getting the mechanics of that, we're going to repeat it a few more times. Consequently, you're going to use more rounds. But we try to keep it at that.
So do they need to bring their own headphones and their own goggles as well if they come to these other classes, or do you provide that?
Now, we provide it. They can bring, most people bring their own, except our headsets, our hearing protection is our electronic units. So you can actually hear conversation, but they shut down when a round goes off. So it's better for us. It's better for the attendees.
So everybody can hear what's going on.
Right. And if somebody's not doing something correctly, or they made a mistake and are having difficulty, that they can hear the correction right away too, as well as the rest of the class. So they're advantageous to have.
Do you do any classes where you're teaching people either at night or about if somebody's trying to carjack you or whatever, something like that? Because a lot of times people are in a parking lot at night and that's when they get carjacked.
Yeah, we talk about that, and I have some slides. Again, I had to add to that first class, the Florida CWL class, and add that section. There's some slides and video from various things that happen. But we also do offer, it's probably going to be for the next month or so, right after we have the time change in the fall, we add a dim light and night fire classes. So you'll come in, depending on what time it's getting dark, because it keeps moving. You'll come in, we'll do a short classroom showing you different techniques, because people will always say, well, yeah, if I heard something outside, I'll grab my flashlight, I grab my gun and go out there. And I say, have you ever done it before? Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried shooting a gun with a flashlight in your hand? What if you have a malfunction you have to clear? What if you have to do a reload? So we explain a number of different techniques and what's good and bad about each. And then we help you fall into something that works for you. So we'll shoot the course of fire just as it's getting dusk. And then when it's dark, we'll reshoot the same course of fire, and you'll do it with flashlights and stuff. It's pretty, people walk away and go, wow, that was really something.
So what is the average cost? What is the average cost of the classes? Are they all different prices, or?
Well, they were. Right now, what we're doing is everything is $75 a class.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really reasonable
Yeah.
considering if you look and see what's being offered out there. And granted, you'll see somebody said, "We'll do you know a Florida permit class for $39.99."
Yeah.
Well, okay. Again, you get what you pay for, and we want this to be very comprehensive, which they are, and we teach techniques. We want to teach you to do the same thing all the time. If it's a certain thing that you're doing a reload with your gun, the way you hold the magazines to the way you grip the gun, we want to teach you doing the same thing all the time so you don't have to think about it. So even if you and I are sitting between courses of fire and we're refreshing our magazines and we're just talking, "Hey Pat, how's it been? What have you been doing? How's things?" And we're talking, we want you to still be handling that magazine the same way that you would if you were in a hurry to reload.
Mm.
So you always get the repetitions and you won't vary from that, because when you're in a situation, we don't want you to have to start thinking, "Oh, wait a minute, how was that? I was supposed to grab the magazine, or how am I supposed to do this, or we want you have to work on keeping
Yeah.
that weapon up and running and addressing this threat there."
Okay, so another question I had was, where do you recommend people buy their guns and ammo? What's the best in this current climate?
Um, I mean, look around. There's
You're thinking local shops are basically either online or local. Is that what you're thinking, or?
well, yeah. I mean, not gonna say anything.
Oh, I'm not
Negative.
talking about specific shops. I'm talking
Right.
about online versus local, or where do people go to find
Well,
where to buy a gun, that sort of thing.
well, you can look online. We have some cards in the classroom for some local people who have FFLs. So if you go on, like, say, gunbroker.com, or there's a couple of different websites. Gunbroker's pretty good. And you buy a gun, it has to be shipped to somebody with an FFL. And we have a couple people that are local that are very good. I will tell people to be careful. In the last, I think, 4 classes, we've had elderly women who went to whatever gun shops around, local gun shops, and were sold. Apparently, somebody had a run of snub-nosed 38s, which is a 38 special revolver. In one case, it was an elderly woman and her cousin, and they lived together. So this shop sold them a snub-nosed 38 that was double action only, meaning you have to pull the trigger. We cover single and double action, so you'd have a better understanding of what that was. But it's a fairly heavy trigger pull on a revolver. First of all, they both have hand and wrist problems. These are older women. One of them couldn't even pull the trigger on it.
Oh.
And I said, so in the class, one of the guns we handle, we have a snub-nosed 38 and a regular 4-inch revolver and 38 special. So what I did with them, I said, listen, shoot mine, because it's very much like yours, except mine's double action and single action. Yours is double action only. So shoot mine, and you're going to see what you bought into. Maybe you can bring it back as having unfired. Because if you shoot it and then say, I want to bring it back, I don't think that's going to work out well. So, and then a lady called me she called me and said, I bought this shotgun.
Oh.
And I said, shotgun? She said, yes. I went, and so I was talking about it with the salespeople in the store, and they said it's a shotgun. She buys a 12 gauge shotgun. Now she's calling me on the phone, and I said, well, I'm really not doing a shotgun clinic right now. I do them occasionally. She said, listen, I bought this thing. Um, I need to get this done. Um, I'm gonna use this 12 gauge. A couple of my friends have taken classes from you, and they said you're the guy I need to call. I need to get this done. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Wednesday, I'm going to be up there at the range doing cleaning up and getting ready for next class. Come up, bring your shotgun, and we'll go over it. So I did the same thing. I brought one of mine because she had bought. They sold her a Mossberg 12 gauge pump.
Oh my God.
I mean, so she
You got to be
gets up
strong.
there.
Yeah, that's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a 12 gauge has a lot of recoil to it.
Recoil. Ooh.
Now, I hadn't seen her, but she gets up there, and this is a petite older woman. So I offered her the same thing. I said, listen, tell you what, I have a Mossberg too. Let's do the same thing. She goes, no, I'm keeping this gun. She goes, my husband really not into firearms or anything. He's traveling, and I'm going to get this done. I bought the shotgun. I'm going to learn to shoot it, and we're going to have a gun in the house. I said, well, I wouldn't argue with a lady holding the 12 gauge for sure. So then when I was teaching her how to how to mount the gun in your shoulder. And she goes, oh, I've had multiple shoulder surgeries. And I said, how did they expect you to be able to shoot this? What Mossberg sells this combo pack. It has a pistol grip on it. So you can take the stock off. And I said, take that pistol grip and throw it away. Do not put it on that gun. You're going to have that has significant recoil on your wrist and forearm. That's not going to work. So we worked out a thing where she'd put the stock of the shotgun like in her armpit, clamp her arm over it and be able to shoot it. And she could barely rack the thing. But I got to give her credit. She had a whole big box of shells, and she went through it. And I said, okay, I think you got the drift of it. And she said, no, I'm going to keep shooting. I go, okay. So in fact, my kids had heard about this and had come out to the range and saw the pile of empty shotgun casings there. And they said, you made this lady fire all those rounds? I said, I couldn't stop her. The only thing that I got to stop her, I said, how about saving 5 so you have some at the house? And she goes, oh, good idea. But
she did it.
But she did it.
So you really need to, for advice, I think that you would give most people is come and take your CWL class, start with the handguns, and then get proper training on that. And then if you want to go on to maybe buying an AR-15 or something, which is a lighter weight, try that. Wouldn't you think that's perhaps the best way to go, especially for somebody like us?
We do a very good AR class. We start off in a classroom with field stripping the whole thing, including the bolt carrier group, which happens to be something that I've found a lot of people know nothing about and don't address it. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And then we step out in the range and we have a bunch of shooting exercises where, the target's in back you, or it's to the left of you, to the right of you. So we're teaching, proper muzzle control and how you, if you're in tight quarters, because people buy these for home defense, and yet in tight quarters, they're not good at moving around with it.
Yeah.
So we teach that, and then teach shooting while moving to cover, and then also firing your AR. And then what if it went down? What if it jammed or something went down? And we have them transition to their sidearm. So they'll be moving to cover. They're firing a few rounds. The AR goes down. They draw their handgun and they get to cover. So That's a good class.
Yeah. So how many different classes do you actually currently have on schedule?
Um, there's a list of them on there, and it's
Where's the list at? Where can people find it?
on at the website is tacticscenter.com. So TACTICSCENTER, tacticscenter.com.
Okay.
And there'll be a button
I'll add that
for the courses. But
in the notes when I put the video up. I'll go in and add that into the description. So that's where the course listing is.
so
Okay.
we have the Florida CWL, then the close combat defensive handgun, another advanced tactical defensive handgun, a general defensive handgun, the AR class, the dim light class. We also do a class that's called gunshot wound, and it teaches about tourniquets and combat gauze, but it's not. It's really for any major traumatic bleed type of thing, how to stop the bleed.
Mhm.
And you could be in your car and get struck and incur a compound fracture where a bone is protruding out. If that bone happened to hit a major blood vessel, you could bleed out before the first officer even gets there. So having a tourniquet, the class is really good. You keep doing repetitions of, and you'll be doing them on people next to you too. The instructor
You call that a stop the bleed class, basically.
it encompasses all the stuff in stop and bleed, but it goes way beyond that. So you'll get a certificate for stop the bleed as well as this course too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's taught from some truly professional people out of Baltimore. Bill is he teaches at the fire academy. He's been a fire EMS trainer for 25 years or something. He teaches his class, and then his wife was a trauma nurse at a major hospital in Baltimore, just retired. So it's a really good course, and we offer it too we do church training, church security teams. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the offerings we present to them, because there's never been an active shooter event anywhere in which people weren't seriously injured as well as killed. So obviously going to have to deal with the death issue, but more importantly, if somebody's bleeding out, you need to take care of that, and you need to do it like right now. This has
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess you'd have to have certain equipment with you then to even do that.
Well, all it takes is a tourniquet. So we did this early on. I've been involved in the active shooter arena since before Columbine, and I was on the teams when Columbine happened. And then after Columbine, things changed all over the United States. Prior to that, officers like myself were taught that if you had an active shooter event, a barricaded suspect or something, the first officers respond, get in, they form a perimeter. No one gets in, no one comes out undetected, and we wait for SWAT. Well, we saw how that didn't work out in Columbine. So in Columbine, once they made entry, they have injured people, injured kids shot. Then one of the golden rules in SWAT was that we never went by a door to a room we haven't cleared yet. Well, look down your average school hallway. There's 40 minutes of work before you even get to the end of the hall.
Yeah.
So after Columbine, it was the first officers that arrive at the scene are going to go in, and their sole mission is to shut down the shooters, because people are being killed and injured. So you're not going to clear rooms. You're not going to render aid. Your primary responsibility is to go shut this down. You're going to move to the sounds of gunfire. You're going to be running through people that are running away, screaming. You're going to make your way through those people to get there and get this taken care of. So when this all happened, one of my responsibilities, we had a very large multi-jurisdictional team, was to hook up with the local patrol force in each city and town and train them at their schools. And it was one of the first times we did something with another entity, was with the teachers and staff. We taught them how to lock. That's where the lockdown drills came from. So we did it in concert, with the teachers locking the classrooms down while the local patrol force went through and cleared it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. I've got my certificate that I got from your class, which I'm very happy about. And people should know these certificates are only good for 1 year, right?
Not necessarily. I don't know. I haven't heard that from Florida.
Oh, I thought that was the deal. Because I thought the original one I did in 2018 was out of date. So I got this one. And then the other thing is, I wanted to ask you about is this Carry with Confidence, the U.S. Law Shield.
Yeah.
Do you recommend this company? And if so, can you tell us why?
Well, I'm a NRA training counselor. NRA had some program. It was kind of difficult to follow. I was working at teaching out of a local gun shop when representatives from U.S. Law Shield showed up. And I know what the deal is. It's an insurance program should you be involved in a shooting situation. And the reps come in, they said, yeah, well, we'll cover you both criminally, say you're charged, and civilly, because even if you weren't charged, you're probably going to get sued. And they went through a bunch of the different steps and so forth of what they offer, and it's $10.95.
Fantastic.
And I said, what? Excuse me? They go, yeah, it's $10.95 a month. And I was just baffled. So, $132 a year, and you'd be crazy not to do it. So my oldest son at the time, he and his wife lived out in Seattle. They worked for Microsoft. They had been out there for 18 years, and he was a competitive shooter. So he travels around with guns and stuff to other states near him out there. So I asked about getting him covered. And they said, yeah, well, for that situation, you'd have to get the 50-state coverage. And I said, oh, of course, and it's extra money, right? And they go, yes, it's $2.95 a month. I said, what? I said, okay, I'm in. And then my youngest son was still living in Connecticut. I got it for him, and my daughter's in Myrtle Beach. So all the kids on their birthdays, they know what they're getting and renew their subscription. It's a wonderful program. And they do seminars. I've hosted a couple of seminars at my place. They do like Florida gun law seminar, which is really, really good. And I think it's only $10 or $15 for the seminar. I've hosted them at the range, but then also there's been a couple churches, bigger churches, that I do church security team training for. And one of them in particular in Inverness, they have some big meeting rooms. So anytime we're going to get some interest in one of these classes, we do it again at the church in Inverness. So
when you do that,
do
you sort of get certain people that are at the services and you position them to where they should basically sit or be during a service? Is that how that works?
Well, for the church security for active shooter training, that's what we do. So typically we help them, we will help the church get to a point where, they have, different people at different positions depending on what's going on. But most of them already have that. Most of them already have some communications with radios and earpieces, so they're not disturbing people. And some of them are sitting in the sanctuary during the service. Some are by the exits. It all depends on the facility and how their schedule goes. So one of the things we do is, we'll go to the church with them and have a bunch of rubber guns, and we'll do some drills with them. And the same thing, the scenarios we present to them are mostly based on things that have already happened. We're not trying to trick people. We're not trying to cause people to fail. We're trying to keep it real. This is what happens, and this is what has happened, and let's see how it worked with you guys.
Okay, and let's see. So the next class, the women's class, is Friday, January the 29th. And sort of what time do they arrive at the range?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. And it goes to about 3 or 4 total. So they need to bring their own food, they bring their own lunch.
Pack a lunch, a sandwich, bring some snacks, some water and stuff, and you get breaks. And then there's a bigger break at lunchtime. Once we finish the class and we're getting ready to do the range, you'll have a break. Everybody sits and relaxes. Okay.
So once we're done, like I said, I'll put all the links to your website on here. But I'd really like to know if you'd be interested in having some more of these interviews, because there's so much other material that I'd like to, have you talk about. Is that something you think you might be interested in? Yeah?
Sure.
I think we could really I think we could schedule something and really build an audience around that. So I'm really grateful to you, Zeke. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I do always enjoy your classes. They're so informative. And I think the biggest thing for me was getting over the fear of even holding a gun, and the mindset of, people questioning me, could you shoot somebody? Yes, if my life is in danger or that of my family, you darn well, I'm not going to let them kill us or whatever. So I appreciate that so much, and you're very patient. I really appreciate that a lot.
Well, good.
All right. Well, listen, I will get in touch. Sorry?
If something comes up, if you have, a lot of times you may hear the same questions at times about different things to do with firearms, give me a call and we'll address it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again. I so appreciate it. And I'll talk to you again.
All right, Pat.
Bye.
Good.